Welcome in to Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside John Epps. We've got Jerel Hendricks back on the board, running the ones and twos behind the scenes there for us, John. But we are here for our Week 2 preview show for South Carolina high school football, John. Week 1 in the books. We saw some blowouts. We saw some close games, saw some, last-second field goals, some games in overtime. A lot of really good action, but it was great to see everybody now have their 2024 season kicked off.
Yeah, a lot of teams got to play in week 0, and some teams did not play, but they played last week. So yeah, we got the first look of everybody. So now we can make incredibly premature predictions and decisions on what's going to happen the rest of the year.
Yeah. Hey, I didn't even need to see everybody play to make that, John. It's just an added bonus here, I guess. But if you guys are tuning in for the first time, we really appreciate you. Like, subscribe, follow our page, comment here on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, Instagram, all at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our website, our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. We do a weekly preview show about 7:15 here on Facebook and YouTube. We go live. Love to have you guys hop in, ask about your team, ask about your game, talk to us, give us your thoughts. Love to hear that as well. We do a recap show, comes out on Sundays on the podcast platforms. We do games of the week, teams of the week, lots of really cool stuff, a pick-em contest throughout the week, coach interviews, all kinds of stay tuned in to all of our social media platforms. We do, food review Fridays, basically concession stand reviews. That's a lot of fun as well on our platforms. Definitely check us out. We don't just go live here. We do a lot of stuff outside of that as well. As always, get your Moving the Chains merch. We got some great hats, some great toboggans for the cold weather here coming up. We've got some hoodies as well. We got some T-shirts. Should have those this week. Be on the lookout for those. Some great T-shirts to rep the boys, help the boys out. Love to see you guys wear it at a game. Really high-quality stuff. It's not cheap stuff at all, John and Jerel. It's really good stuff.
Really comfortable.
You can email us, mtcgear.sc@gmail.com. You can send us a DM here on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or Instagram, whatever. You can check us out there as well. Let us know what you'd like. To love to get you guys hooked up. It'd be really cool to see somebody wearing some of our gear out of a football game, man. Appreciate you guys for all you do, and love to have you support us in this way as well. Before we get into the games, John, I do want to say this. If any teams, want to put us in a hype video, we are happy to help you guys out. If you need us to clip it and send you the clip, I'll be happy to do that too, man. Appreciate y'all, helping us out. In case you guys don't get the latest joke here, we were in the Dutch Fork hype video for this year. Luckily, John, we weren't really saying anything bad. So that was good.
Yeah.
That was good. We appreciate the Silver Foxes for doing us right on that one, man. But love to kind of help motivate these kids and teams wherever we can. So we appreciate that. But, John, let's get going now with our Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates CONA games of the week. We've got 5 great ball games across the state of South Carolina. This first one here is always a fun matchup, man. These teams have been in the same class before, been in separate classes before. Right now it's a 1A, 2A matchup. And that's Bamberg-Ehrhardt and Barnwell. Both teams come in at 2-0. Bamberg-Ehrhardt won a lightning-shortened game last week, 14-0 over Buford. That game got called in the second quarter due to some weather issues there. Barnwell, they played on Thursday. They won big over Williston-Elko, 41-0. Last year, John, Bamberg-Ehrhardt they won a defensive battle, 17-7 over the Warhorses. Who do you like in this 1A, 2A matchup here?
I want to go back to the just not very professional expert logic that I used earlier with Barnwell. Is they're a really good football program. They're really good. They have talent every year. That opener against Blackville Hilda, they got a little revenge because they lost that game last year. They lost a really close game last year. This year, they turn around. They won that game. I'm going with the same idea this year. I think Barnwell is just too good of a program. Nothing against Bamberg. Bamberg is awesome in their own right. I don't think Barnwell is the kind of program you're typically going to beat 2 years in a row. I like Barnwell in this game, and I think they're at home, I believe, right?
Yep. Mac Weir Stadium.
Getting play at home as well. It's going to be a big boost for these kids. And hey, we're talking about 2 good defenses. I think we're going to see a really good competitive ball game here. I think it's going to be 2 really good teams. 2 teams that are going to be playing a lot of football here late in the fall, but I like Barnwell in this one.
Last week in that shortened game, quarterback Chanston Crosby, a North Carolina Central commit, had a TD pass and a run. Marcus Cairns, a big playmaker for them. Charles Williams, Jalen McGraw, also athletes. Javaris Logan leads that bunch up front. On the Barnwell side, Cam Austin, a TD pass and a TD run last week, had 3 TD runs back in week 0. Johnson, he's getting it done with his feet for sure. Running back Nehemiah Brown had 2 touchdowns. Jaquan Peoples had a punt return touchdown. Logan Sturkey a touchdown catch and has played really good on defense for them as well. Had a big game back in week 0 there for the Warhorses. I'm thinking that we have 2 really good quarterbacks, dynamic guys, can throw it and run it, and 2 pretty good defenses too, John. I'm thinking we may see like really a slugfest, see the quarterbacks running the ball a lot with Crosby and Austin there. I'm thinking low scoring. That 17-7 game last year, I think we're kind of in for a similar type. If you get to 24, 28 points, you may be easily winning this ball game. I think we're thinking in kind of a defensive battle, maybe a big special teams play, a Jaquan Peoples punt return, something like that could be huge in this game. Back in week 0, the kicker for Barnwell, Lane Evans, kicked a big field goal, kind of executed 2 onside kicks as well there for the Warhorses. So they played really well in special teams. That could be a big piece of this game as well.
Yeah, and I think both defenses are too good to let the scoreboard really get lit up. Now, I know we say that, and we have seen the exact opposite from time to time. It is high school football after all. Anything can happen. But, yeah, I'm 100% in line with you, Kev. I think it's going to be a pretty tight defensive ball game, well-played game.
Yeah, I'm going to go the Warhorses at home, close ball game here. I think a little bit too much depth up front, too, could be a difference in this ball game. They wear down Bamberg a little bit at the end. But like you said, 2 teams with Coach Crosby and Coach Smith that plan to be playing late into November. So 2 really good football teams here, but I'm going Barnwell in a close one at home. Jerel, what do you think on this ball game? What's the chat saying? Anybody else we need to kind of pop in here and just say hello to before we get the night going?
Yeah, I'll be quick with my comments on this game. I think it's everything you guys said. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. These are 2 teams that are going to be playing for state titles. Yeah. I mean, they're going to be in the mix, in their classes. I think Barnwell wins this game in a tight one, but regardless of the outcome for either one, it really doesn't matter. I think it's going to be, iron sharpening iron in this one. Mm-hmm. And I just like the Warhorses a little bit more, but these are 2 very good programs. Great coaches, great players, so it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this one as it progresses. And a lot of people want to say hello, so we'll jump to that portion of the show.
Zach, good to see you, man. Yeah, definitely a tough time in Clinton. Had some tough fires last week, but the team came back with a big win in that county rivalry. Great to see that for that community, but hopefully they continue to kind of grow through this. And luckily, John, no injuries either, so that was awesome.
Yeah, that was good to hear. I saw that on the news
with that going on. Good afternoon, guys. Hampton County. Yeah, Terrence and Vanessa, those guys continue to roll. Dangerous at Louisville. Hey, I said it'd be a good game, but I did pick Louisville. I picked Louisville. Remember that? So, yeah, Lions rolled over HKT last week. That was a huge win for them. Cedric says Camden will beat Hartsville in defensive battle. We'll get to that ball game here in a minute. Cedric, it's one of our games of the week. Bradley, good to see you as well, man. Appreciate you being in here as always. Nathan, Tom Dots took it personal. Yeah, I guess we're just on his radar now. But, hey, if Dutch Fork is watching us, I'm okay. We're doing something right. I'm okay with that. Zach says, congrats to Coach Corey Fountain winning his 100th game as a head coach. Yeah, really cool there for him. He's a guy that's won a lot of football games now at Lamar and Clinton. Great to have him in our state. Tank says Hartsville over Camden in a shootout. He likes BE by 6 as well. So, yeah, I think it's a close game. I like that call there, Tank. Certainly could happen. Cal says, can Strom Thurmond handle North Augusta? We'll get to that ball game here in a little bit. 2 teams that are playing well. Tough loss for North Augusta last week. We'll get to that in here in a little bit, Cal. Anthony says Marlboro big over Scotland. Yeah, Dylan already beat that Scotland team. I think Marlboro has a chance to do the same thing this Friday. Louisville going to keep you. Louisville, they found something right there, Adrian. They got playmakers everywhere, man, and they are playing great football. They are certainly a contender in 1A. A team, honestly, that I don't think we're doing it, John. Like a lot of the media, a lot of other folks are. They're kind of overlooking Louisville a little bit, I feel like. I think they are one of the top 2, 3, easily 4, if not 2 or 3 best teams in 1A. I think they're kind of falling that lower end for some folks, not us, but I think they're getting a little bit overlooked. They're probably going to take that personal here down the line.
That might be good for them because, the last 2 years they had a bit of a target on their back with all the talent they had. Now, maybe – I don't know, maybe a little bit of the pressure is gone. You got a little bit of a chip on your shoulder. And obviously they responded extremely well here first 2 games of the season.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next game, guys.
Perfect. Our second CONA game of the week. A fun game here, John. Clinton, the Red Devils at 1-1, trailing to Newberry to take on Coach Jeter's Bulldogs, who are 2-0. Clinton, a nice bounce-back win, 35-8 over Laurence last week. Newberry, 43-0 over Mid-Carolina. For Clinton, led by quarterback Tyshawn Richardson. Running back Javen Cook had 89 and 3 touchdowns last week. I like Devin Swindler as a playmaker outside for them. Defensively led by Brett Young. Newberry, quarterback Bryce Satterwhite. Running back BJ Jones. Wide receiver tight end Jamel Howells. He's a Power 5 prospect, getting a lot of big offers there. Really good player. Jadarius Young on defense, along with Jared Acosta. Also good players there. Last year, Clinton won this game handily, 42-7. You know, John, we talked about this in our, I think, season preview show about Newberry, how we interviewed Coach Jeter 2 years ago and he got this job. Got a bunch of young guys, really young guys, you know, freshmen, sophomore, that knew it was going to take a while. They're grown up now, and they're a much better football team than they were last year. They are playing really good football. They are a sneaky pick in 3A for me to make a deep run. This kind of, I think, is their first test. They haven't really played Union County and Middle Carolina. This is their first, I think, you know, real test of the season. Are the Bulldogs ready to take the next step and beat a good team like Clinton, or they still have some things to kind of clean up, you think?
I think this is going to be an awesome ball game right down to the wire. I think Clinton is probably just a little bit better than Newberry right now at this point in time. Mm-hmm. I can see this game going either way, though, especially being in Newberry. That will help the Bulldogs. Awesome stadium they have as well.
Yeah,
really cool place to go see.
Get that Bulldog lit up.
Yeah. I think I would not be surprised at all if Newberry wins this game, but I see this being a really tight one-score ball game right to the end. I like Clinton a little bit better because of I feel like they have played in more of these big type games. You know, this game really has a feel like a playoff game to me.
It does, because big game.
These are two really good teams, and Newberry is extremely hungry to get back to being pretty solid again. So you know they're going to be pumped. You know they're going to have a good crowd out there. I think it's a tight ball game, but I like Clinton.
Last week, Clinton, they held Laurence to 171 total yards. That's impressive no matter who you're playing, John, especially over against the Coach Porter-led offense there. Really good showing there for Coach Campbell's squad there at the Red Devils. But, man, I something about Newberry. I like what they're doing right now. I'm excited about their playmakers. I love the Satterwhite kid. Howells is just an absolute stud. You know, I think if you're Clinton, you try to take away something, I think it's got to be Howells. You probably got to put 2 guys on him because he's just so big and physical. It's hard for anybody in the state to match up one-on-one with him. You do that, Newberry gets the run game going maybe with those guys. I may be, you know, getting a little ahead of myself here, but I'm going to take Newberry at home. I think they win this ball game. I'm super excited about this team. Very high on this team, very high on Coach Jeter and the guys. I think this is when kind of Newberry shows everybody, hey, we're a contender in 3A. We can make some noise.
And if they do that, if they win Friday, they are going to be – I'm looking – they cracked the top 10 of the 3A poll, the media poll. Mm-hmm. They will have earned it if they win Friday.
Yeah. Jerel, who do you like in this ball game? What's the chat saying? I think really this could be one of the most interesting games of the week.
Was not expecting you to make that call with Newberry's the outright winner there, but I like it though. But I'm going with Clinton. You know, this may be, you know, 2 out of the first 3 weeks that we see Clinton, you know, facing a 3A team and them springboarding them, you know, up and down the polls. We obviously saw it with Woodruff a few weeks ago. But I think Clinton, you know, got the kinks worked out. I think that Woodruff game was good for them. Obviously got right last week. And I'm going to ride with the Red Devils here, but I do not feel confident about it. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. What is the chat saying? Greg says QB is nice. He is. The Newberry offense is very good. Like I said, they'll face a different challenge this week with Ethan Campbell's Red Devils defense that they faced against Union and Mid-Carolina, but they are some good playmakers there. Yep, great point, Zach. Third straight rivalry for Clinton. I mean, that's gotta get the juices flowing a litin a bit there.
Yeah.
Yeah, who wins in the trenches controls a lot. Certainly always a big factor in these games like that. Patrick, good to see you, man. Nice win for your Indians last week. Another fun game of Greenville this week coming up here. Tank says Newberry's tough, but Clinton by 4 certainly pick. Could be. And I think, you know, one of the things, John, that I kind of mentioned there is I think there is a lot to be said for the fact that Clinton has been in a lot of these big games lately. They really have. They've made deep playoff runs, you know, had big-time regular season games as well. Newberry just kind of starting to get up to that point. So how much does that experience factor in? Certainly could play a big part on Friday night.
Let's move on, guys.
Perfect. Our third CONA game of the week. The longest rivalry running in the state here, John. The Hartsville Red Foxes traveling down to Zemp Stadium to take on the Camden Bulldogs. I believe this is the 96th overall meeting. I may be one off there. Somebody knows for sure. Let me know. I believe it's number 96 in that series. Hartsville, they're coming at 0-1. Had a tie last week, 27-all against Carolina Forest. Had some weather issues there late in that ballgame. They called a tie. Camden, nice win over Lugoff Elgin, 31-13. They come in at 1-1 after a week 0 loss to White Knoll there. Hartsville, new quarterback E.J. Smith. He's been playing well so far for them. The player that I like on the Red Foxes team, Demarion Coe, just an absolute playmaker. Last week, blocked a punt and returned a kickoff for a touchdown. He's a weapon on offense and defense and special teams there. Webb Barnes is a leader at linebacker. Hawkins and Masons are playmakers outside for them on offense as well. On the Camden side, quarterback Wyatt Thompson stepping in to take that role from Grayson White. He's played pretty good his first couple weeks there. Running back Boykin is a big physical guy, toting the rock there. Playmaker Tylen Drakeford does some wildcat for them. Everybody knows JoJo Krim. He's a Power 5 guy at receiver and at DB there. A lot of big playmakers on both sides here. Two of the better coach teams in the state, honestly, with Jeff Calabrese and Brian Remp there, John. Who do you like between the Red Foxes and the Bulldogs here in this big-time, really fun rivalry game?
This is really exciting. I think you've got a really, really good, and this anyone that's familiar with these two programs, this is nothing new to you guys, but a really defensive-minded program with Camden against a really, I think, electric offense in Hartsville. It's electric on the ground typically, but just fast-moving, a lot to defend.
Yeah.
A lot of backs coming out of the backfield, a really fun offense to watch. It's going to be a really cool matchup to see again. I think Camden is better than what I thought they would be.
Yeah. They played well so far.
Really it went toe-to-toe with a very good White Knoll team. Nearly won that game, lost that game by a score very late. What appears to be an improved Lugoff Elgin team, they pulled away in the second half in that game last week, again, with the defense controlling the ball game. I think I like Camden's ability up front defensively to control the line of scrimmage a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to make the difference in this ball game. I think Hartsville's going to score some points. They're going to move the ball a little bit, but I think Camden is going to be good enough defensively to get enough stops to be able to win the game. And Camden's, offensively, they're not going to score 60 points on you unless, you're a county rival. They might score 56 every now and then, but they're good enough to score enough points and to win the ball game, even against a high-profile offense like Hartsville. I think Camden wins a really, really close ball game. Really fun ball game. I think that's where I'm going to be Friday night. Yeah,
two great fan bases as well. Two great stadiums, no matter where they're playing. 2 years ago, Jerel and I went down to Zimp, saw this game. Hartsville scored late, went for 2 to go up by a point, end up scoring another touchdown as time expires, just kind of some window dressing there, win that ball game by 7. Last year, Hartsville blew out Camden 55-21. That was when Camden was kind of having that tough stretch last year, early season. They kind of really struggled a little bit there. Hartsville took it to them pretty well. I know Coach Remp and the boys are ready to kind of get back on the winning side of this rivalry. But I don't think it's happening Friday. I think Hartsville, a little too much firepower, and I think one of Camden's big strengths, I think, is their secondary. Love Krim, love Drakeford back there as well. With Hartsville, they're not going to throw it around a whole lot, so that kind of maybe negates a little bit of that there. I like the Red Foxes in a close game. I think it's tight, 35-28, like it's a really one-score ball game there. I like Hartsville in a close one. I think Coach Calabrese gets another win on the road. Jerel, what do you think about this matchup? What's the chat saying about this one?
Man, I am a big fan, obviously, of both programs and both two great stadiums, two great fan bases. I really like Hartsville in this game. I think the Red Foxes are going to be able to get it done. Just got a lot of weapons there. And, man, it's just going to be a fantastic environment. If you're anywhere nearby, I would definitely recommend going to check that one out. But I like the Red Foxes a little bit more in this football game. And I think most of the chat is going that way as well.
Well, now I'm scared.
Right.
Now I want to chat. Tank says, Big Red Foxes. Yeah, Hakeem about to get it going. Dr. Waters with the house calls. I like that nickname. That's good. Hakeem, a guy that suffered an injury, I think, back in the spring, but is back now. Right, Tank, I believe, there. He's a speedy electric back there. Cameron says, go Gray Collegiate. Yeah, we'll get to those guys a little bit. They're playing good football. Had a tough one last week against Baylor, but playing well. Damien says, go Westside. We'll get to that game in here in just a second, Damien.
And we will go on to the next game, guys.
Perfect. Our fourth CONA game of the week here, John. Another fun – this is the week of rivalry games, it feels like.
It really is.
Another big rivalry here over in Anderson County. That's TL Hanna hosting Westside. Both teams come in at 1-0. Both teams had a bye last week. TL Hanna defeated Burns week 0. Westside, a nice win over Creekside out of Georgia back in week 0. Last year, John, Westside, they really kind of, maybe shocked some people with this big win. They took down TL Hanna 42-30 early in the year, really kind of, put their name out there and kind of got themselves on the map here last year. People now know who they are. They are the defending 4A state champs. They are a very good football team, had a great win back in week 0. Who you like in this ball game? Rams, Yellow Jackets. Always a fun atmosphere between these two teams. They get together, but what do you think about this ball game?
I tell you what is, and I feel like I'm going to say this for almost every game that we talk about with Westside, just there's so many weapons on the outside.
Yeah.
For this Westside Rams team. And not only that, you got one of the best quarterbacks, maybe the best quarterback in the state.
Yeah.
Operating it as well. That is really, really tough to defend. I think this is a really tough matchup for TL Hanna. They can certainly win. They're a premier 5A program, but I think the way that TL Hanna plays, that really take the air out of the ball, keeping the ball on the ground, shortens the game up. I think honestly, that's typically, I know people go, oh well, that's good if you're playing against a high-powered offense because you limit their possessions. I kind of see it the other way around though. I think Westside's going to score.
They're going to score fast a lot of times too.
And that's tough to compete with the type of ball game that TL Hanna plays. TL Hanna's not built for shootouts. Not that they can't win them. They certainly can. Mm-hmm. But I just think that if Westside can control the tempo of this game, and when I say control the tempo, if they can put some points on the board quick, I think that really puts TL Hanna at a big disadvantage with the way they play the game offensively. And it's going to work against 95% of the teams that they play. This is one of those games that's in that 5%, I think. I think TL Hanna's a great ball team. They get a couple turnovers, and they're probably going to win this game. But I like Westside being able to just be they're just more dynamic and more electric on offense. And I think that's going to set them apart in this game, being able to score a little bit quicker and just TL Hanna can shorten the ball game. Westside can shorten the field.
Yeah.
And I think for Westside, that's going to be the difference for them. And that's if they play well. They got to play well. I saw, some tempers were flaring in that first game. You gotta, I know that, they got a lot of high profile players. You got to be able to rein it all in too. Because TL Hanna, they're a giant killer. They win a lot of games like this too. But I think this will be another great ball game. Again, two very contrasting styles, so it'll be really fun to watch.
Westside led by quarterback Cutter Woods, South Carolina commit there, Super 75 guy. Two newcomers, Armani Weaver, Camarius Bomar, receivers/DBs, two really good players, both committed to App State. Back in week 0, Bomar went 6 for 130 and 2 touchdowns, scored a touchdown the first 2 drives of that ballgame, actually, John. Running back DB, Sherrod Richardson had a touchdown running and 2 picks. One thing about Westside that I like a lot is they play some of their athletes both ways. You don't see a lot of that in the 4A, 5A level. They're happy to do it if they can do it, and those 3 guys certainly can, along with RJ Livingston and some other guys too for that squad there. The one worry in that game, they give a big lead. They had a 30-yard lead at half. Creekside storms back, makes it 30-27. Actually has the ball late in that ball game, but Westside still hung on. Had a bunch of penalties. They got to clean that up, which I'm sure Coach Lane and the guys have done over this bye week here. But for me, I was really impressed with the defense. They looked really good in that first half. That's always been a little bit of a bugaboo. They'll score a lot, but can they stop you? They looked locked down in that first half against Creekside. I'm really impressed with what they did on that side of the ball. TL Hanna, quarterback Brandon Cunningham, running back Kevon Cole, Katie Patterson, the stud running back who had 1,600 plus, I think 25 plus touchdowns last year, missed the Burns game. Not sure if he's back or not. I think he is. Not 100% sure on that. The defense, they forced 3 turnovers in week 0. They will need to do that again. But a matchup I'm looking forward to seeing is Cam Strong, the NC State committed DB for TL Hanna, matching up against these Westside receivers. Obviously, the good thing for Westside is you got more than one. So Cam can't guard all of them. Does he guard Bomar, Weaver? Where does he go with that? But it'll be fun to see him match up one-on-one with some of those guys at some points. That'll be a really neat matchup to see there. I think Westside too much firepower as well, John. I think for TL Hanna, they're going to have long drive. Like you said, they're going to have to drive the ball a long way, for a long time, and they've got to score. They can't settle for three. They can't have to punt it late. They got to get in the end zone. Westside, they don't need a lot of time to score, and they will put up points. I think TL Hanna is a very good football team. I think Westside is a little bit better right now. I know it's a big rivalry game. I know it's at TL Hanna. I still like the Rams to win this ball game, I think.
I think so, too. I think it's going to be a great game, though. Great game, great close ball game.
Perfect. Jerel, any thoughts from you on this? Any thoughts from the chat? I do want to bring this up. I just thought about this when we were talking about that with the penalties and stuff. I believe Armani Weaver will be out for this ball game due to the ejection. I just thought about that. He got thrown out back in the Week 0 game. So I think he's out for this game. I'm not sure if they were able to appeal that. I have not heard. But if he's out, that is a big loss. Because then you can put Cam Strong on Bomar and see what happens there. But, Jerel, what are your thoughts on this ball game?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, Nathan is in the chat, and I trust Nathan when it comes to these situations more than anything. I think that's going to be the case, unfortunately, for Westside. I still like Westside a little bit more in this football game. There's a lot that I liked about both of these teams in Week 0, and there's a few things I didn't like as well. Yeah. At the end of the day, I think Westside just has too much firepower, and they're just going to be able to score more points at the end of the day, and that's how you win football games. It's pretty simple. But when it comes to Hanna, they really struggled with Burns, who was minus Trey Segura in that game. And, you know, they could have lost that football game. And then also when it came to Westside, they allowed that Creekside team to come back. Now, this is a Creekside team that we were pretty high on, you know, coming out of the state of Georgia. They played a team from Texas last week and got smoked. So, you know, what is it going to be? We had a Jekyll and Hyde half there for Westside. I'm not picking against Westside probably for the majority of this year, which is a big change from last season. I think the Rams will be a little bit too much. So much talent out in Anderson County, but it should be a really good ball game. You should get over and check that one out for sure. Let's take a look at the chat, guys.
Perfect. Zach said, yep, not. You're around. Yep, you're right. Yep, I think he is out. This could be a ball game. Also, want to bring this up where you could have somebody step up like a MJ Lee or another receiver, make some play. DeMasia Dawson with, you know, Weaver being out. Could be a game for one of those guys to step up there for sure. Thanks that he's stolen up the W for Westside. Landon says, what's up, guys? Good to see you, Landon. Appreciate you being in here, my man. Braley says, leaning Westside in this one. Yeah, that'll be a fun thing. Your boy Cam says, Big Thurman, we in here. Love that. Zach said, only covered one. Yeah, for sure. Curtis said, come down for the Marlboro County Dillon game. Should be a great ball game there. Highway 9 rivalry is always a fun one. May have to check that one out. Nathan says, same thing happened to Daniel starting corner ejection last week. Couldn't play last Thursday. Okay, good to know. Yeah, I don't know if you can appeal that situation. I'm not sure what that is there. We'll see. Cody says, Cutter Strong. Yeah, he's a heck of a player there, Cody, for sure.
Let's move on, guys.
Perfect. Jerel, if you don't mind, let's hit a commercial right quick. I got to plug up my laptop here so we don't die. And then we'll pop back in for our final CONA game of the week here.
Need a new ride to get you to the big game? Founders Federal Credit Union has auto loan rates that'll get you in the driver's seat without breaking the bank. And here's the best part. No payment for up to 90 days. Drive to victory with a loan that suits your budget. Visit foundersfcu.com/auto today and score your dream car with an auto loan from Founders. Terms and conditions apply. Member qualification required.
The George Agency has been serving the insurance needs of South Carolina for over 40 years. They're a full-line insurance agency concentrated in employee benefits and health insurance with an office in Mullins and Murrells Inlet, but they can help you all across the state. They have clients in Greer, Rock Hill, Columbia, and more, so wherever you are, they can help. Give Bradley, Wayne, Richard, and the crew a call or check them out online at thegeorgeagency.net. That's thegeorgeagency.net. And we are back. Thank you for the help there, Jerel. Appreciate that. Our final CONA game of the week, our SCISA game of the week. A big 4A matchup. Laurence Manning, the Swamp Cats at 2-0, taking on Northwood, who I believe is the only 4-0 team in the state right now, John, over in the SCISA ranks there. Laurence Manning, a comeback win, down 15 in the fourth, come back to win with the field goal over Heathwood Hall 30-28 last week. Northwood 33-0 over First Baptist. On the Swamp Cat side, quarterback Granger Powell, running back Peyton Brown went for 257 and 3 touchdowns. Pearson Gamble running the ball as well. For Northwood, quarterback MJ Davis, 127 and touchdown. Also plays DB, had 5 tackles and a PBU. Running back Keyshawn Singleton, 82 and 2 touchdowns. Caven Ford, 82 and 2 touchdowns. Cole McCleary, a good player on defense there. John, who do you like? You know, Coach Briggs coming in for year 1 there with the Swamp Cats, a team that played for state last year. You got Johnny Waters at Northwood, year 2 there for him. They've gone up a class now, playing some bigger boys. This is, I think, their their first, big time 4A matchup. Is Northwood ready for this ball game, or do you like Laurence Manning here?
I think Northwood is ready. I think they're going to be very, very competitive in this game, but I think Laurence Manning is still a little bit better. They've been in the state championship. They're undefeated as well. They found a way to win the game last week against Heathwood Hall. I like Laurence Manning winning this Friday in pretty similar fashion. Close game, winning it at the end.
I agree. Similar to one of those things where until you prove it to me, until you show me, that you can win this big time football game, I got to pick against you. And this goes back to last year. Northwood had some chances last year in the lower class to make a deep run and couldn't quite come up with big wins. They had to have it. So I'm just going to need to see it from them before I trust them. I like Coach Briggs' squad. I love Brown. I love Powell there at the quarterback spot. He's a really good trigger man there for that team. Played a lot of football now for those guys. I think Laurence Manning wins that ball game. Jerel, any comments from you on this? Any comments from the chat as well before we wrap up our CONA games? We can move on to the next part of the program.
I'll just keep it brief. I got LMA winning the state title this year, so I'm going with them in this game, right?
So that was pre-Hammond destroying Christchurch pick, though. Don't forget.
So I'm riding with LMA till the wheels fall off. Just got a few comments here, but after that, we can definitely get riding into those 5A games.
Dangerous. Never thought he'd see the day. Christchurch, South Christian start 0-2, St. Joseph's 1-1.
Wow.
Yeah, they've played some tough games for sure, man. See how that trends the rest of the season. But heck of a tough start. Gregory said, "Is Pendleton a good team this year?" They are ranked very high. Maybe a little bit higher than I would have them, John.
Yeah.
I think they're a good football team. They got some good talent with Webb and then the new quarterback there, Grass. I like him as well. Won a bit of a defensive ball game last week instead of an offensive game like they usually do, which is kind of surprising me. Are they worthy of being number 3 in the state? I don't know. They are good. Number 3 good. I'm not sure. We'll see as the season gets rolling some more.
I'd certainly say a top 10 team.
Let's roll into 5A, guys.
Perfect. John, let's take a look now at the 5A slate. As always, guys, ask us about your game here in this class. Give us your thoughts on your team. Love to hear it from you. We're going to start with 5A and work our way down. So, John, let's get rolling here with the big boys.
Yeah, kicking it off, we will have RB Stahl going to Academic Magnet. Indian Land will go to Andrew Jackson. Ashley Ridge is hosting Wando. Socastee will be at Ainer.
2-0, 2 wins over higher class teams. They got a chance for 3 this week. Coach Brown's squad's playing really well. Austin Tanaka, Luke McCracken. I think Tanaka had 5 rushing touchdowns last week in a win over St. James. I think they go to 3-0, beating another bigger class team this week.
They do too. Ainer's looking really good.
Yeah.
Well, this is a big game here in the Low Country. Berkeley hosting Somerville.
A game last year. We saw it in the regular season. Somerville blew them out. We saw it again in the postseason where Berkeley was playing pretty well. This is the game, if you guys remember, Henry Rivers, the quarterback for Berkeley, gets kind of pushed into the wall there, the close wall to the field. I believe he breaks his wrist. Had to come out early in a game that was tight. Somerville goes on to win this one. A little bit of a revenge factor here for Coach Lodge's squad. Get him at home this time as well. It's going to be tough to beat Somerville. They look really, really good. Had a great win last week. Jaden Cummings, one of our players of the week this week, had a great ball game. I think Berkeley, man, I think they've tightened the gap. They've gotten a lot better, but I think Somerville is still a hair above them. I like the Green Wave to win this game.
Yeah, I think they win by a couple scores.
Gotta show Berkeley some love, though. They went down to Florida this past week and had a good showing. Had a chance to win that football game as well.
Yes, they did. I think they had a costly pick 6 early in that game that came back to bite them, but certainly had some chances. And I did some research. That Winter Park team, pretty good football team down there, went to play. So definitely a good showing for Coach Lodge's squad down there in the Sunshine State. Yep, Chris Compton looked really good. Yeah, that's what I heard as well, Chris.
Moving on to the Midlands, we'll have White Knoll going to Brooklyn Casey.
White Knoll, a team that needs a bounce-back win in a bad way. Tough loss to Sumter. You got a 33-13 lead at half. You blow that in overtime. What's scary about it, John, is Coach Pelham, known for the defense, a little shaky last week. Landon Sharp on offense had 5 touchdown passes. When you do that, 300-plus yards, you expect to win. Tough one there. Brooklyn Casey, they're struggling as well early on. They'll get it going. It seems like every year, a lot of times for Brooklyn Casey with Coach Sharpie, they start off slow, slowly get better. I don't think they get better this week. I think White Knoll wins this ball game. Like Zach says, yeah, T-Wolves. But it will be a fun matchup to see and just to learn a little bit more about both these squads.
Yeah, I think White Knoll goes to 2-1 after this week. Spartanburg will go to Broome. Carolina Forest hosting Huff High School out of North Carolina.
Carolina Forest, first time their history last week with that tie against Hartsville. You know, them being a newer school, they didn't play back when there were ties, so they got their first one last week.
Boiling Springs will go to Chapman. Chester hosts Catawba Ridge. Clover will be playing Palisades High School out of North Carolina. That's just over the border. Very close game for them, actually. Sherrall will be at Conway.
Conway, worried about Conway. They got shut out by Laurence, I think 39-0. Now, Laurence team I'm very high on, but when you're 2 classes above the team, you don't expect it to be that kind of margin there. Sherrall, they continue their murderer's row. They've played, you know, Marlboro County last week. They got Conway this week. They got River Bluff, I believe, next week. So they got a lot of big boys on the schedule. I'm high on Sherrall. You guys know that. Conway, I'm not high on right now. I think the Braves, I want to call them to win, but man, 3 classes is a big difference here. I don't know.
I think they win.
Yeah, I like it.
I think I get the class changes, or class discrepancy. I think they're just better.
Mm-hmm.
They're better in talent. I mean, talent's talent.
Yeah.
Talking about 2 teams that have not had a whole lot of talent lately. They have gotten better this year already. Lugoff Elgin going to Darlington. This is actually going to be a pretty decent ball game, I think.
I think we can see some good offense here. Jalen Augustus at Darlington is a really good quarterback, one of the most underrated guys in the state. Coach Bullware there, the Demon offense, has got them rolling. Obviously, didn't have a awesome showing against Camden last week, but Camden's a really good football team. We know that. Played well back in week 0 against Laura Richland. Should be a fun game there, I think. That might be Darlington's first game at home with the new turf. I'm not sure about that. But good job there by both those coaches, Bullware and Johnson, making those programs where they are somebody you have to talk about now.
Yeah. We'll see Stratford going to Fort Dorchester.
Stratford, interesting team to me. They lost week 0. The game got shortened due to some threats of stuff there against Somerville, whatever, 2-score game. Last week, they have a nice lead at half over Daniel. They're running the ball with Squires really well. Just fall apart second half. Daniel blows them out. Yeah. They've got some talent there. I don't know how good they are. I can't quite get a feel for them. Fort Dorchester, another nice win last week. I think the Patriots win again under Coach Lorenzano, but Stratford's a team that I got to get a better feel for. I just don't know right now what to make of them.
I want to see more from Fort Dorchester too.
Yeah.
I was surprised at their exit from the playoffs last year against Whitehall.
Yeah.
Blythewood will be at Fort Mill.
Thoughts and prayers to the Blythewood community. They lost a player this weekend. Hate to see that. Definitely praying for that program, for that community. Really, really tough situation there. So definitely keep them in your thoughts and prayers as they try to, bounce back and kind of get through this and everything with that.
Yeah. Gaffney will be hosting Greenville after the big win Gaffney had over at JL Man. They'll host a second Greenville County team in a row.
Yeah. Greenville 0-2. I think they go to 0-3. Gaffney looked really impressive last week. You couldn't tell it was their first game. That's one of my worries was like, how are they going to be, penalty-wise, lineup-wise, turnover, whatever. They didn't do any of that. Really they had a couple penalties, but nothing too crazy. Gilmore looked great at quarterback. Root is a stud on both sides of the ball there. Got a lot of receivers with Smith and Davidson and all those guys out there. I think Gaffney wins this game handily, especially at home.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a rout here. Dorman will be at Greenwood. Hillcrest goes to Greer. Irmo will host Butler High School out of North Carolina. James Island hosting Goose Creek.
That'll be a fun one there. Malik McGowan at Goose Creek is a big-time player. James Island still kind of getting their feet wet, replacing a lot of pieces from last year. I think they win this ballgame. It could be another low-scoring one here. I do want to circle back to that Hillcrest game. Last week had to play sophomore quarterback Jackson Free, Caleb Sutton. They held him out for precautionary reasons there due to an injury. Free looked great. I think he had 3 touchdowns, something like that. Played great, stepping in a big win over a solid Clover team. Hillcrest, a team that I think is still kind of laying Louise low in the poll. I think they're a good football team there for Coach Swigert. Yeah,
they should be able to win this week as well. Daniel will go to JL Man. Boy, this is 2 tough games for JL Man. You lose a heartbreaker in overtime to Gaffney. Now you got a really good Daniel team knocking on your door this week. Nathan saying Daniel's won 46 straight regular season games. Haven't lost a regular season road game in what's this year? 7 years.
Yeah.
I tell you what, this would be the kind of team that could beat them, but I don't know. I don't know that they do it. I think Daniel could win this game.
This is gonna be fun. I'm interested to see. I don't know enough about Daniel's defensive line. I think that was a big difference last week, John, in that game. JL Man had a lot of plays that went for negative yards or 1 yard or 2 yard. Like they got stuffed at the middle a good part of that ball game. They found a few success hitting the corners here and there, some jet sweeps type stuff, a couple deep passes, but could not really get a run game going at the middle, which is what they want to do with with Morrison and Jones and Martin and those guys. Daniel, I do worry because they gave up a run, give up rush yards last week to Stratford. I think JL Man has a really good chance to win this ball game, but man, how do you ever pick against Daniel? That's the problem. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah, I don't know. JL Man's got to play better than they did last week. They had an awesome fourth quarter, but they couldn't finish off a lot of drives earlier in that game to make the difference. Gregor saying Dale, JL Man might be the game of the week. It's got the ingredients for it for sure. That will be a really good ball game over at JL Man. Rock Hill will go to Lancaster.
Rock Hill, a team 0-2 that needs a win badly, got smoked by South Point last Saturday. Yeah, you're exactly right, Jadrian. They could be, they've got some great pieces on offense with Ratley and Malik Clark and just cannot get it figured out right now. Lancaster, tough loss to Indiana last week. Had a great win over Chester back in week 0. They're a good football team too. Really run-heavy offense there for the Bruins. It'll be a fun game over there at Lancaster Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, and I don't know which way to lean on that one. We'll see Fountain Inn. They'll go to Malden.
Fountain Inn's a fun team. They played Woodruff to a 3-point game, a last-second field goal last week. They're going up in class, I think 1 or 2 class. I think they're 3 or 4. Anyway, going up a class this week to play Malden, a team that hasn't won a game in a year or so. Interesting matchup to check out.
I think they get the win. I like Fountain Inn in this one. We'll see Lexington go to Midland Valley. River Bluff will be at Nation Ford. Big game in York County, Northwestern hosting Northwestern against South Point.
South Florence.
South Florence. Oh, I wanted to say South Point.
Later
on.
Good
game.
Yeah.
Northwestern, South Florence in Rock Hill. This is the game that we thought was going to be the state championship last year before a state championship game. This would be a really, really good ball game here. I think Northwestern wins by 2 scores or more.
I'm sure the Trojans still want some revenge for losing that title game 2 years ago to Lenore Sellers squad there at South Florence. They've looked really good so far, played some really good football, 2-0 obviously there. South Florence 1-1, a nice rivalry win week 0. Had a tough loss to Somerville last week. Somerville's a really good football team. I didn't think it would get out of hand like it did there. I think Northwestern, a little too much firepower. I think they win this game as well.
Richland Northeast will host Westwood.
Yeah, great point, Zach. Yeah, Turbo Richard for Northwestern playing last night for BC as a true freshman. Game 1, really cool to see there. Cody says Northwestern pretty solid. Yeah, they got a lot of great playmakers there. You're right, Cody. They certainly do. Northwestern big by 21, says Tank.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Yeah, great to see Turbo play, running hard as you expect. And good win for Boston College, too, by the way. Richland Northeast hosting Westwood. Dutch Fork will be at Ridgeview.
Dutch Fork playing great football already. A big win over Spartanburg last week. Ridgeview hung around with Northwestern for a little bit there last week. Didn't quite have the firepower at the end. I think Silver Foxes get another big win.
Yeah, I think so too. Christchurch will be at Riverside.
Deidre mentioned it earlier, Christchurch 0-2. They could go to 0-3. I believe they lost Riverside last year, I think. If not, it was a really tight ball game. Riverside's playing great with Gideon Merhib at quarterback, Mikkel Skinner out wide, Jaden Taylor as well. Riverside looks really good. They're a fun Greenville County football team.
Yeah, they beat up on Greenville last week. I was pretty surprised by that. I think they win this week too. Chapin will be at Spring Valley. St. James hosting Lucy Beckham.
I do want to shout out Chapin quarterback Brady Albro, career passing touchdown and passing yards leader now at Chapin after last week.
Very cool. Myrtle Beach will go to Sumter. Easley will be at Wade Hampton. West Ashley hosting Cane Bay. North Myrtle Beach will go across the state line, play West Brunswick. West Florence will be hosting Marion, and Pendleton will go to Woodmont.
Could see some points in that ball game. We mentioned Webb and Grass there for Pendleton. Woodmont, Jordan Sink, and T. Williams, those guys, they can light it up as well. Could be a high-scoring affair. Jerel, any 5A comments from the chat before we look down at 4A?
Let's keep rolling, guys.
Perfect.
All right, jumping into the Midlands. AC Flora will take on the Christ School out of North Carolina. Airport at home against Orangeburg-Wilkinson. South Point will go to Charlotte. They'll play Ballantine Ridge. Laurence is on the road against Belton Honeypath. Berea goes to Carolina. Kingstree goes to Crestwood. Bishop England will be on the road against Hanahan. Aiken goes to Hilton Head. Lakewood hosting Dreer. Liberty at home against Pickens. Colleton County goes to Lower Richland. May River hosting Lake City.
May River has looked really good so far. Had a nice win over Airport in week 0. Nice win over West Ashley last week. I think Lake City's a good football team too. They lost a tight one to Myrtle Beach in week 0. Came back and beat Timberland last week. I think May River is somebody we got to look out for. Coach Bonneville's squad playing well with Tanner Macy and guys down there.
Yeah, I like May River. That program always seems to be right there on the cusp too. Beaufort will be at Philip Simmons. Blue Ridge will go to North Carolina. They'll play Polk County. Bluffton will go to Savannah. They'll play Savannah Country Day. Seneca hosting West Oak. Travelers Rest at home against Palmetto. Union will host York. Dillon on the road against Wilson. Emerald goes to Woodruff. And Wren at home against Powdersville.
Those 2 games there are going to be fun. Emerald and Woodruff are both undefeated. Yeah. When's the last time I said about Emerald? They're playing great football. They're on our pick 'em this week, too. It's a tough one to call. Woodruff, the last second win last week over Fountain Inn. They beat Clinton in a barn burner in week 0. Coach Sloan's got it rolling there, but Emerald with Coach DeBose is looking like a good football team, too. I think Woodruff a little too much offensive firepower. Corey Moats and TJ Morrison and those guys there. I think they win this game. It should be a fun one. And then Powdersville Wren. We might light up the scoreboard in this one, boys. I think both teams are averaging 40-plus points. Powdersville 0-2 somehow, averaging that many points. Wren 2-0. Reese Price, Colton Bagwell there. Kagan Smith for Powdersville is a good football player, man. Always a fun rivalry game. Powdersville broke off from Wren there. It's always a fun one. Actually, Kagan Reed, not Kagan Smith. Sorry about that. Elijah Huggins Elijah Huggins, at the receiver spot as well, is a good player for them. Really any comments from you, Jerel, and Foray? I do want to ask you about this one, a game you saw last year. Buford, Philip Simmons. Last year, Philip Simmons handled them pretty easily. Buford, 2 classes above now this year. Philip Simmons replaces a lot. Buford brings a good bit back. What do you see happening in that ball game? What do you like in that? And just any Foray thoughts overall?
Man, that game last year kind of just got out of hand in the second half, I want to say. Philip Simmons was ever, just able to pound the rock. I mean, they had 2,000-yard rushers last year. This year, they've kind of changed their philosophy, relying on senior quarterback there. But that Buford team, if they've gotten a little bit better offensively, I think Samari Bonds, this has got to be his 3rd or 4th year starting at quarterback for the Eagles there. I think he'll be fine. I think it's going to be a very good – man, we have 2 very good football coaches in this game.
Yes.
Coach Bendig, Coach Libran, obviously a state championship winner. I think it'll be a tight one. I'm going to ride with Buford this week. I think Buford's going to be able to avenge last year's loss, and it should be a good one. Want to say a special shout-out to Chris right here. I love being able to talk about games and not be a fan as much as you, because I know you were sweating over there in those decrepit Greenville County facilities last week as your team had to pull it out in overtime. But it was a good win. Great game. I'm glad that John, you, and Kevin were able to check that one out, but I did want to have a shout out for you. Good win for your Indians for sure.
Certainly. And Drew, I want to say I think Bonds had maybe 300-plus pass yards one game so far this year. But I do think I saw, a wide receiver may have gotten injured as well. So we'll see how that shakes out for Buford. But fun there. Any other comments from the chat on 4A before we look down at the 3A ranks? Seneca will smoke West Oak. No offense about 2 homeschool teams. Yeah, I think you're right there, Marquise. Seneca wins big. And Powdersville as well, playing good football. I think they've got a chance to win that as well. Jacob says Westside Hanna. That was one of our CONA games of the week, Jacob. If you missed it, go back to the beginning of the show. When we get done, you can check that out. We broke that one down. MJ says Abbeville smoked Powdersville. Zach says Laurence quarterbacks out for the rest of the year. Hate to see that for that bunch there. Cody says interesting to see how SC State does to Smith and KZ. Yeah, I watched some of that game last week. Cool. I think KZ had a receiving touchdown on that one. They lost a tight game to FAMU there. I'm not sure how much Tyler got in the ball game, but it'll be fun to watch some local kids get some run there. Chris said he's sweating like crazy. Man, that was a fun game. It was a fun for sure there, Chris.
That's it, guys. We can keep going.
Perfect. Looking down to the 3A ranks now, John. Let's talk through some of those games.
Yeah, we will see Berea at Carolina. Walhalla goes to Chesney. We'll have Fox Creek going to Glen Hills in Georgia. Bishop England is at Hanahan. Battery Creek goes to Keenan. Laurence is at home against South Columbus out of North Carolina. Baptist will go to North Charleston. Marlboro County goes to Scotland over in North Carolina.
Marlboro County playing good football, man. I think they're a good football team. I think that debate can kind of put to rest now. They've got some good players. How deep can they do? We'll see. I think they beat the Scotland County team for sure.
Yeah, they should win that one pretty handily. Hampton County goes to Silver Bluff.
Hampton County has looked good. This will be a little bigger test this weekend. Silver Bluff has had a tough go of it so far. Had a tough time with Strom Thurmond last week. I think Hampton County wins that ball game.
Southside Christian will play Anderson. Mountain View goes to St. Joseph's.
MVP is climbing the polls there, John. Had a big win over St. Joe's last week. Obviously beat Atlantic back in week 0. We know they've got athletes, Hainsworth, Drummond, McGill, all those guys. The line was, the concern and the depth, and with that has not been an issue so far. We'll see how it goes rest of the year. They're playing football right now for Coach Ramsey.
Yeah, I think they're continue playing good football all year. They are a very dangerous group. Wagner Sally will be at Swansea.
2 teams that new coaches breaking in there. Swansea playing good. Wagner Sally had a tough time last week against Batesburg-Leesville. I think Swansea gets a win there. The Tigers do.
And that wraps it up for 3A.
Yeah, we do have our HTC Hometown Connection game. Georgetown, the Bulldogs hosting the Johnsonville Flashes, a game that it features 2 teams coming in at 1-1. Johnsonville, they beat Atlantic Collegiate 14-7 last week. Georgetown took a tough loss to rival Andrews 38-10. Johnsonville, Larkin Powell stepped in at quarterback there. 3 offensive line starters back from last year's lower state title team. Davis at the running back spot. Landon Krill, a defensive leader, had 19 tackles for loss, 118 tackles last year. Safety Tayson Brown is a big-time player for them as well. Georgetown, quarterback Zach Cross, moving over from receiver to quarterback there. Running back Trenton Parker. They had not won a game since 2020 until week 0, John. So big win there for Coach Adams in the Bulldog squad. Defensively led by McNeil and Kelly. A game here, John, where, Johnsonville, I don't think they've quite figured it out yet. I think they're still working on getting some new pieces put together and whatnot. I like Georgetown to get their second win of the season here, I think, this Friday night.
I don't think they do.
Looking at just the history of the program's last couple of years, obviously, Johnsonville is the way you got to lean. But I think they're still too young, still kind of piecing it together. I think Georgetown gets a win. Jerel, what do you think about this ball game here? HTC Hometown Connection game.
Oh, I got to go with Johnsonville. I think they're going to get it together. I think that team's just too good. I think they're going to be able to figure it out. Georgetown, it's been a good story so far. Obviously, changing coaches as frequently they've done the last couple of years is not a good thing. But I like Johnsonville in this ball game. See what those young guys can do, man. Coach Cribbs, one of the best in the business. See if those sophomores can get playing and build back up. And obviously they're gonna get everybody's best shot. So I like the Flashes here. For sure.
Our HTC Hometown Connection game each week will feature a team from Georgetown, Horry, or Marion County. Appreciate you guys at HTC helping us out. HTC, this is live. Connect with it. Check them out. Enjoy their services as well. Once again, Johnsonville at Georgetown for HTC Hometown Connection game. Jerel, let's thank some friends of the program before we look down to the 2A ranks. Or, Jerel, do we have any questions from the chat?
Yeah, I was going to pop up some comments.
Let's do that first. Sorry. Nobody beating the BHP in 3. We'll see, Brandon. There's some teams I think are playing good football, but I think BHP is the favorite right now, but there are some teams to look out for. Charles says Wren will beat Powdersville. That offensive defense is looking really good for Coach Freight right now. Love Bagwell, love Price, good teams there. Cody said last time like that was the 2 OT game against Northwestern in the playoffs. Yeah, that was a fun one, wasn't it, Cody? That was
listen to that one on the radio on the way back from where I was at.
Yeah, Jason says Swansea going to 3-0. I think so too, Jason. Good call there. Zach says hope Swansea gets a W. They're playing good for Coach Fox, man. We'll see if they continue it this week. Desmond says see our last game of the season. Yeah, certainly should be there, Desmond. Will be a fun ball game.
I'm going to pop up because this is a special comment here. I figured you would take offense to this one, Kevin. You've been talking about Laurence for 3 years now.
I am beating the Laurence drum. Come on, Tank. You know I'm high on the Lions, man. Coach Manson, the boys. I think they're a very, very good football team. I love Moon Jerel. I love Jacoby and Lewis. I love those guys that got on the defensive line, especially. That Lions team is good. But really what I think is going to be fun is that whole region. You got Dillon's always good. Marlboro County looks really good this year. And Laurence, I think, too, that's going to be a heavyweight division, heavyweight region there until you get that 1 seed. But I am big on Laurence. Come on now, Tank. You know I'm a fan of the boys there. I'm just going to tell John and Jerel, whenever we start doing our poll here in a couple weeks, I'm going to have Laurence really high. I don't know where y'all are going to have them. I'm going to have them towards the top for sure.
At HTC, we're here to keep you connected. Here to provide reliable fiber optic internet. with free, fast, and secure HTC Smart Wi-Fi. HTC, here to connect.
Carolina Orthopedic and Neurosurgical Associates, CONA, offers the most advanced training and experience in orthopedic surgery, neurosurgery, sports medicine, and pain management in the upstate. 3 convenient locations in Spartanburg, Duncan, and Greenville. Go to CONA.care to learn more.
John, let's take a look now down at the 2A slate and run through those ball games here we have in week 2.
Yeah, we start all with Batesburg-Leesville going to Abbeville.
That's a game. Batesburg-Leesville is looking really good. You know, I think we mentioned on the preview show for the whole season, we had heard they got some young pieces that were getting better and better there for Coach Lawson. They blew out Wagner Sally last week. I think the running back had, 5 touchdowns for them. Abbeville, we know what they are. I mean, DeMarcus Leach, I think, had 5 touchdowns. Big game running and throwing the ball there for Coach Nichols. This is a game where I expect Abbeville to win. It's just, can Batesburg-Leesville compete? I think that is the key there. And if they can, they're going to be a team to look out for, I think, in the 2A ranks, because 2A right now we think is a little bit top heavy. You got a few really big contenders after that. There's some open area there. I think if Batesburg-Leesville competes against Abbeville, they're a team that we may have to look at as being right there in that next tier and having a chance to make a run in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think they win this game. I think Abbeville is I think they maybe not handedly, maybe not by 24, but I bet it's a 2 to 3 score game. But yeah, if they can be competitive, they can be competitive for a long time in that game. That will go a lot for the Panthers. Should go a long way for them. We'll have Branchville going to American Leadership.
American Leadership looking for their first win in the history of the program, still there under Coach Bacon. We'll see what happens there. Jerel, Abbeville should be in 3A.
They can compete.
They were in 2A. They went down to 1A. With this new classes, you never know what's going to shake out there. But they can certainly compete in 3A, I would feel like.
They wanted to stay in 2A.
Yeah.
They tried. Blacksburg will host Cherryville out of North Carolina. Andrews is at Carver's Bay.
Another fun kind of rivalry game there down in Georgetown. Andrews, nice win over Georgetown last week. Carver's Bay got their first win last week as well. Zion Gall's a big offensive lineman there for the Bears. He's a good player. Love Brandon Cumbie and Andrews. Scott Durham does a great job there. I think Andrews wins this game, but could be an interesting ball game if you're down that way.
North Central will be at Columbia. Kingstree goes to Crestwood. Burke is at Denmark-Olar. East Clarendon hosting Hardyville. Calhoun County is at Edisto. C.A. Johnson goes to Fairfield Central. Green Sea Floyd's hosting an undefeated Mullins team.
An upstart Mullins team. Yeah, Mullins winless last year. They come out to beat Hemingway in week 0. They have a weather delay against Lakeview. They're down in that ball game on Friday night. Weather delay. They come back and play Monday night, and they come back and beat the Wild Gators. Coach Lowry's squad's now 2-0, man. I had heard that they were getting a lot of good buy-in from the program. A lot of guys going out for the team that hadn't played in a while, or maybe hadn't been playing football. Seems like the Auks are heading the right direction. I don't know if they're a contender this year. I don't know about that. But I think they go to 3-0. Hats off to what they're doing there with that Mullins program.
I just need you, when we're talking about the Auctioneers the rest of the year, I just need an Xavier Leggett, accent for the rest of the time, for the rest of the season.
I like to think I'm from the country, but I'm not Xavier Leggett. Oh, no, boy. I don't know. I can't do it like him, man. I can't do it.
He's great. Eau Claire will go to Greenwood Christian. Buford will be at Highland Tech in North Carolina.
Circle back to Eau Claire. One of our teams of the week snapped a 35-game losing streak. Hats off to Coach Simons and the Shamrocks. Great win last week. I think they got a good chance to win 2 in a row here, John, actually.
They should. Central will go to Lamar. Ware Shoals is at Landrum. Chesterfield will go to Lee Central. Louisville hosting Atlantic Collegiate.
Louisville, I think they get another blowout win this week. Atlantic Collegiate is just not a great football team right now. Lions playing really well. They've got it figured out on offense, it feels like, with Zach Rogers and those guys, Robinson. They've got some studs there. Then I do want to go back. Chesterfield, 2-0. Coach Quinn starting out hot there with the Rams, playing good football as well.
Yeah. Pickens will go to Liberty. Lake Marion is at Manning. Whitmire goes to Mid-Carolina. Blackfield Hilda goes to 96.
That's a fun game there, a sneaky game there. 96, a team that we were really high on last year, had a tough loss back in week 0. Like Zay King, they're running back a lot there. Blackfield Hilda, similar story, tough loss in week 0 to Barnwell. Love Jaquel Holman, the running back there, the South Carolina commit. Usually you think you get a 1A, 2A matchup. Obviously 2A, team has a little bit more depth, whatnot. I think Blackfield-Hilda's got a real chance to win this game. They've got some players there. I think the fact that they're playing a team, Jerel, you may have a thought on this as well, a team that is more similar to them. I think that was part of their issue against Barnwell. You played a team that didn't want to just line up and run it out of the kind of the wing tee, single wishbone, whatever you want to call it there, similar style, kind of hurt them back in week 0. Playing 96 that does want to run it a ton. That may be good for the Fighting Hawks. It may fit their style better, may match up better. I think they can win this ball game.
I think they do win it.
Yeah, for sure. And regardless, it should be a quick football game. That's my analysis for this one.
You could probably catch that one, leave when it's over, and get to the next game by the third quarter's over. So that would be a great strategy to hit 2 games in a night for sure.
Not a bad idea. Cross will be at Timberland.
Big Cross, playing good football right now. Timberland, tough one last week to Lake City, like we mentioned there. Will be an interesting ball game there to see what Coach Wright's squad and those boys can do over at Timberland.
Whale Branch will host Ridgeland, and Bethune-Bowman goes to Woodland.
Perfect. Any 2A comments here, Jerel, if we look down to the 1A ranks?
Not 2A, but this is a comment that I wanted to pull up about Walhalla. They've had a really good start to the season so far. Really, really.
Yeah. Big win over Pickens last week. I think Seneca was it week 1 they beat Jerel. I believe that sounded right.
That sounds right.
Yeah. Walhalla's playing
Powdersville
great.
beat Seneca.
Powdersville lost to Seneca. Yeah, Walhalla. Anyway, they are 2-0. Coach Stone's squad's playing great. Good call there, Desmond. They're a good football team, interesting football team for sure. Love Parrish on defense and offense there. Kind of a combo, play both ways, guys. He's playing great. Walhalla is doing a great job there. Christmas as Vicksburg-Leesville isn't going to beat Abbeville to be competitive. Yeah, I think you're right there, Chris. Like it's a tough ask to beat the Panthers, but I think Vicksburg-Leesville, that team can kind of hang tough there and certainly compete and hang in that ball game. Well, you got Blacksburg. Who do they got this week, John? I think I missed you said it earlier. Blacksburg. I love the offense there for Coach Batchelor. Sims is a great player for them. Got some other studs as well. Cameron Cobb, Dominic Odom, 14 starters back from last year. They've got a fun offense to watch, but I'm not sure who they are playing this week, John.
I'm not sure. I don't recall us going over
They may be off this week. I don't know. They may be off this week. If you want to do a quick Google, any other comments there, Jerel? Cross and Timberland, fun. Yeah, that will be a fun for sure. 2 teams that are hard-nosed, defensive-minded football teams there, Marquise. That will be a fun matchup when the Trojans and the Timberwolves get together. Josh, the coach, obviously, playing Cherryville. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate that. Love what the guys are doing there at Blacksburg. Anytime we say this every week, when a team from South Carolina plays a team from out of state, we're pulling hard for the Palmetto State team. So interesting how that goes. Love what they're doing there. Love what you're doing there, Coach. Keep it going. Love you guys' offense, especially playing good football there. Carol asked about Chesterfield. Coach Quinn's squad is 2-0. Nice win on Saturday over Great Falls. They're playing good. Quay Clark, one of our players of the week, had touchdowns in 4 different ways last week: receiving, rushing, pick 6, and kick return. He is getting it done all over the field there for Coach Quinn.
That's all it, guys. Let's keep rolling.
Perfect. Looking down at 1A now, John.
We'll see Branchville going to American Leadership. We'll have Hardyville at East Clarendon, Calhoun County at Edisto. St. John's goes to First Baptist. Allendale Fairfax is at Great Falls.
Great Falls looking for their first win under Coach Newton. I don't know if it's this week. They have had some tough luck. Chesterfield handled them pretty well last week. Took a tough one week 0 as well there. We'll see. Yeah, I think you're right, Adrian. 2 teams that, honestly, are not playing great football right now. We'll see how that shakes out. We'll love to see Great Falls and Coach Newton get a win, but it's going to be tough.
We'll have Hemingway hosting Scotch Branch. Ware Shoals will go to Landrum. Latta goes to Macby.
Latta, tough loss last week to Marion, a team that had gotten hammered the week before. They come back and beat the Vikings. Macby's got a good football team. They hung tough with Jerel in week 0. I think Macby has a decent chance to win this ball game.
I think they do too. Getting the game at home, I could see it happen. I could see it happening. Baptist Hill will go to North Charleston. Military Magnet is at Palmetto Christian. Dixie will go to Southside.
Dixie undefeated. Green Hornets playing good football right now.
Yeah, and they got a chance to win that game too. Wagner Sally goes to Swansea. We talked about Swansea, how they're off to a great start this year. McCormick will go to Georgia. They'll play Washington Wilkes. Calhoun Falls is at Williston Elko, and that rounds out 1A.
Perfect. Jerel, any comments on the 1A ranks or from anybody else before we look down at the SCISA slate? Yep, Marquise is Cross Timberland fun. Exactly right. Hampton County by 12 over Bluff. I think, Terrence, you're probably close to right about that. Hampton County is playing good football right now for Coach Hanna. Hillcrest standing on business. You're right, Demetrius. Yeah, they are playing great. Even with the backup quarterback last week, had a big win over Clover. They go down to Greer, I think, under the water tower. This way, I think they win big again for Coach Swigert there.
Let's keep rolling, guys.
Perfect. Looking now at the SCISA slate, we got Jefferson Davis going to Conway Christian, Spartanburg Christian at Camden Military, Clarendon Hall at Williamsburg, St. John's at First Baptist, Colin and Prep at Andrew Jackson, Richard Wynn at King Academy. Richard Wynn. Charlie Bonds, really fun player to watch there for the Eagles. Check him out if you get a chance. Florence Christian going to Heathwood. Florence Christian, led by freshman quarterback Riley Minton, 161, 2 touchdowns last week. Heathwood Hall, looking for their first win. Had a tough loss last week to Lawrence Manning under Coach Zimmerman there. Patrick Belt, Honest Conan Banny. I think they get their first win this week there for him. Holly Hill going down to Kings. Two teams 2-0. I think Holly Hill is much better. I like Ashton Souls. I like Parker Kaiser, had 6 for 141, 3 touchdowns last week. I think those guys continue to roll. But Kings, they're averaging 51 on offense, 13 on defense. But I think Holly Hill is a much better football team. Wilson Hall, Ben Lippin, 2-0 squads there. Ben Lippin, Crooks, and Carmichael, kind of contrasting style to what Wilson Hall wants to do with that kind of triple option, run the ball type offense there. Head coach Adam Jarecki for Wilson Hall does a fantastic job as always. Porter Goud and Hammond getting together, both undefeated. Jamal Flood for Porter Goud, 149, 2 touchdowns last week. Chase Anderson, 14 tackles on defense. Hammond, a very good football team. Andrew Turner, Mike Tyler, Haltwanger, Manny Johnson. Mike Tyler, the LSU commit. They've had big games in the kickoff return, or big plays, kickoff return, both games so far this year. They beat Christchurch by a lot in week 0. I think Hammond continues to stay undefeated there. Newberry at Wardlaw. Carolina at Dillon Christian, St. John's at Faith Christian, Oak Brook Prep at Laurence Academy. Coach Deal still looking for win number 1. I don't think he gets to this week. Laurence Academy, Spires McCameron, too much firepower there. Patrick Henry at Beaufort, PD at Myrtle Beach Christian, Thomas Hayward, Orangeburg Prep, Palmetto Christian at Coastal Homeschool. And I believe that wraps up our SCISA slate. Jerel, any more comments from the chat before we shout out some friends of the program?
Swamp Cats.
Over NWA. Yeah, and Jason, that was one of our CONA games of the week. If you missed it, check it out. It's the beginning of the show. We both, I believe, picked Coach Briggs and Swampcats to win that ball game. Should be a fun one down there at Northwood. Weston, what do you think about Gray? I think Gray's a very good football team. Obviously, last week against Baylor. Tough game. Baylor's a very good football team. But Gray, a great win in week 0 over James Island. I think Coach Bryant and the boys can be right there at the end. They will be a contender for sure. Lamont, Bamberg Barnwell, another one of our CONA games of the week. Once we get done here, you can go back, watch this beginning of the show. I believe that was the first game we talked about. Yep. So definitely go check that one out once we get done here. It was one of our big games we talked about early on in the show.
That is it for the comments, guys.
Perfect. Friends of the program, let's do it.
Preferred Home Services. How can we make you smile today? Preferred Home Services. For electrical or plumbing, cooling too. Go, 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 Preferred.
Facing unexpected expenses and need a quick play? A personal loan from Founders Federal Credit Union can help you cover costs and get back in the game. With competitive rates and flexible terms, a personal loan from Founders is the winning play. Whether it's for a big purchase or an emergency, we've got you covered. Visit foundersfcu.com/personal to get started. Terms and conditions apply. Membership qualification required.
Let's take a look now at our Pick'em contest brought to you by Hanna Engineering. If you guys have not joined that, do so. We post it on our social media platforms each week on Facebook and Twitter. Get in there. It's also on our website as well. We do 11 games each week. It gives you a reason to watch other teams besides yourself. We had a 7-8-way tie for first place last week, John. A lot of 10s there with Dale, Dion, Jay, Jaron, Kyle, OGB, Pat, and PK all with a 10 spot there. A lot of 9s as well. Congrats, Andrew, Big Pop, Brett, Papa T, Coach T, Cole, Dakota USC, Dawson, Grant, Jamie, Kane, Nathan, PJ, Shannon, Will, John, big 9 spot, Jerel 8, me with 7. Like I said, check it out on our pages, our social pages, our website as well. Overall leaders to each end of the season, Kyle C with 21, incredible, but certainly a tight race. John, you're smoking me and Jerel with 19. Jerel's got 15, I've got 14. As always, guys, we do drop your lowest week. We'll start doing that probably halfway through the season, so don't worry about that yet. So these standings will change. So if you missed the week, it's okay. You can always catch back up. Love to have you guys join that. Brought to you by Hanna Engineering, our good friends over there. Join our Pick'em contest. It is great. Do to shout out our teams of the week for preferred home services. We had Eau Claire snapping that 35-game losing streak. Sumter come back from that big halftime deficit against White Knoll. And then Somerville with the big win over South Florence. Our players of the week from the George Agency, Jaden Cummings at Somerville there. Brady Albro at Chapin, and then Quay Clark at Chesterfield. Shout out to all of those guys. Lots of great performances. We say this every week, John. We love it when you guys get in here and interact with us. Man, that's a lot of fun. So I appreciate y'all for hopping in and chatting with us. Continue to do that. It makes it a lot easier for us to talk about teams because obviously we get to see 1, maybe 2 games in person a week, depending on how it shakes out. Y'all get to see everybody else that we don't get to see. So definitely let us know your thoughts because we don't know thoughts about everybody, but we'll do our best to read your comments on the show for sure, as we always do. But other things coming out, we have our poll coming out here in a couple weeks. So we'll have to get that going once we see a little bit more about everybody. We'll get that going. We'll do our coach interviews coming out here soon as well. Anything else, John, you want to hit on here in this week 2 show before we kind of wrap it up?
I don't think so. A great first 2 weeks of football. Seen some great crowds. I mean, it was packed at JL Man, was it Slayton Field?
Yep.
Last week. Really good crowd. An awesome crowd at Belt Honea Path for week 0. Just great stuff. Good to see everybody coming out and supporting their kids, supporting the community. Love to see it. And I'll tell you what, why wouldn't you? There's great football all around the state.
And right now it's been good weather too. I saw we had a chance to rain Friday. We'll see how that shakes out, but should be a lot of fun. Not sure where we'll be at. I know you mentioned Hartsville Camden for you, John. I'll be out of town, so not sure where I'll be. Jerel may be at a ball game. We'll see. But if you guys see us out there, definitely always say hello. Love to talk ball with you guys. Definitely check us out and say hey to us while you're there. Appreciate you guys tuning in as always. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Movin Chains, MOVINCHAINS. MovinChains.com is our website, our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Weekly preview shows about 7:15 on Tuesday. Recap shows coming out on Sundays. Team of the week, game of the week, food review Friday. Lots of really good stuff. So definitely check out that. Our Friday night spaces as well. Basically a scoreboard show on Twitter on Friday nights. Jerel's got it up there. As always, get the merch, get your hats, get your hoodies, get your toboggans, got your T-shirts coming here soon too. So definitely check that out. Love to have you guys repping our gear, supporting us. Appreciate you. Hit us up, mtcgear.sc@gmail.com, or just DM us on one of our platforms. That's fine as well. Love to have you get your merch and definitely support the boys that way. Shout out to our friends of the program, as always, Hanna, HTC, Preferred Home Services, Founders Federal Credit Union, who I'm missing, CONA, George Agency, everybody. We appreciate all of you guys. Folly Row as well. Jerel, any final thoughts from you here on this Week 2 preview show?
Excited about this week, as always. Should be some great ball games. Obviously, we highlighted our games of the week. I'd like to tell you guys, if you're in the community, go check out. If you're watching us, you're probably going to be at a ball game anyways, but tell your friends, tell your family to support your local high school and their football teams here. I'm excited about it. Excited to see Food Review Friday as well, to see what you guys were able to get in Slaytonville. I know Greenville County, that's home to me. The facilities and the concessions can be kind of lackluster, so hopefully they step their games up a little bit.
We'll see. We'll see. Any other final comments, Jerel, from the chat before we close it down here?
Last thing I did want to say, Bradley, I know he was asking about the poll. We will probably start that week 4. So now we'll unveil that.
Something like that for sure. Well, as always, Movin The Chains brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. For Jerel Hendricks, John Epps, I'm Kevin Thomas. This has been our Week 2 preview show for South Carolina High School football. And we'll talk to you guys next week.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.